Let's talk about how you could change players' archetypes to benefit your dynasty in college football 25. So when you change certain players' archetypes, tendencies, it actually benefits. Just depends on like hybrid safeties don't develop well whatsoever. If you're able to change them into a zone safety, they develop a lot better. And also same thing, slot safeties develop the best in this video game. But you'll have a man, you'll have a zone safety. How do I convert them to a slot? Is it possible? So for example, like moving this hybrid safety, he's only 83 overall. But if you move him over to cornerback, he converts to a slot corner, and we know that's one of the better secondary position archetypes in the whole entire game that's actually going to develop better. So that's, probably something you want to do here, and we'll do just that. Another one is going to be the tight end. The blocking tight end develops the best in this video game by far. By far, they develop the best. So is there a way to convert like the vertical threats into a blocking tight end, even though they'll keep their vertical threat ability, if that makes sense? Same thing with the quarterbacks, man. It seems that scrambling quarterbacks develop the slowest when it comes to just their attributes getting high in overall, or their overall just going up, compared to the field runner and also to improviser. So is there a way to convert the scrambler into a actual improviser field general quarterback? So we're going to go over that in this video. And sometimes during position change week, you kind of play around with it. Like you can move some guys over to different positions, move them back to their position, and hope their tendency would change. Most times it won't, but in a rare situation during this position change week, it can change. So there is kind of a finesse to it, and we advanced another week, and we're at the point, just the regular season, and you could convert these corners, any corner, to a slot corner, which we know is the best in the game. So we have a safety here. The reason I'm doing him because he's actually AI generated guy, so we can actually go in and change his position. So reminder, he's a run support. We click triangle on him, come over here to more, and we're gonna go to edit player. Let's remember his name, Emmett, I believe was his name. Then come over here to player info, and we'll change him to a cornerback, where he should convert to a slot corner here. And where he's going to be at, he's going to convert it to a slot corner, which is the best cornerback in the game, as we know. So I came over here to a different dynasty file because in that 2-lane one, we was only in year 2025. So everyone was real life NIL players, and we couldn't change their positions, can't change their names, any of that. But in this dynasty, we're in the future, and every single player is AI generated, so we can change everyone. And we're going to start off with Robert here, who is a 87 overall in the top right corner, and we're going to move him. He's a zone corner also. Let's just say we want to move him to a slot corner, so we're going to move him to a different position, and then we're going to move him back. But note, his overall might drop here, so you might not want to do it with your top guys. You're probably better off doing it with younger guys, but he's a former 5-star. Let's see, we're going to edit player, and we're just going to move him over to safety. And then we're going to move him back over to the cornerback spot. So moving to safety. And here he's a hybrid safety, which is an 85 overall. Then let's go ahead and move him back. The only issue is, like I said, their overall seems to drop when you do this. I don't know why. Because we're not changing any stats here. But let's see. We move him back over the corner. And Robert is now a 84 overall, but he has converted to a slot corner, which is the best cornerback in the game. So I wouldn't recommend doing this with your seniors that's, already damn near maxed out overall. But when you get a freshman like this, who's a zone guy, guess what? We're going to do the same process. He's a 77, 75 before the boost. Let's confirm that. Come down 75 before the boost. And let's do the same exact thing, man. We're going to move him. Let's move him to like middle linebacker and see if that will have any type of effect on him differently. So we'll move, what's his name? D'Angelo, I believe. Move him over to middle linebacker. Let's come back in. He converts to a 61 overall middle linebacker. And we'll move him back over to cornerback. And it just plays with the tendency a little bit, man. Plays with the tendency also. I think it's like lowers the awareness. And I think that's really why their overall kind of drops. And we move him back over, and now he has converted to a slot corner, but he's a 72 overall, so his overall went down 3, but now he has the potential to be more well-rounded. His zone coverage is already in a good spot, but now when we hit triangle on him, it changed his tendencies, and it also changed the way he will progress. So now man coverage is going to be his priority. You see, this is in top category. Instead of just keep upgrading that zone, which is already pretty solid, Now he's actually going to upgrade this man and become a well-rounded cornerback, man. And even having zone coverage being capped off like this, it's not terrible, because this zone coverage could still get to like 87, 87. The awareness will never get super high, same with the play rec. But when that zone coverage cap out 87, which is good, now everything else is going to get better on this guy. Like, he's going to become more well-rounded. So having the bad skill caps on cornerbacks is not really the end of the world. Sometimes it can be your benefit. And you see here a perfect example. Like, his overall drop, I think for the long term, he's a freshman. For the long term, I think it'll benefit him. Because like I said, they're going to get to higher overalls being a slot corner, and also just more well-rounded. And I'll show y'all. So we come over here and look at all the cornerbacks in the nation. Like I said, all these guys are AI generated, and you see they're all slot corners. All the best corners are slot guys. You scroll, have to keep going. You finally get a man corner. It took you a while. He has a 99 speed. That's the thing you get with a lot of these man zone corners. They have the great speed, but the coverages are not well-rounded. Only 78 on the man. You get some of these zone corners like this. 92 on the man, 90 or 89 on the zone. The speed is a little bit low. 89, but that's not all of them. Some of these guys get to be very elite, also with elite speed, like this guy. 95 on the speed, 92 on the man, 96 on the zone. I mean, that's a great zone corner right there, man. So we're able to convert this guy to a zone. We know he's going to develop to be more well-rounded. Also has the solid speed. Is this a little cheesy? It could be, 100%. If you say it's a little cheesy, I'm not mad at you. If you say you don't want to do it, I am not mad at you. Would I do it for my dynasty? I probably would not. Not for my personal dynasty, but it's worth knowing some of this stuff, because some people do want to do this. And they'll work for the man corners, zone corners. You can literally do this for any of the cornerbacks that you want to, transition more so into a slot corner so they can develop a little bit better. All right, so let's try to do the same thing with the tight ends, man. So the issue with a lot of the tight ends, vertical threat, they max out super early. And you got a guy right here, Dion, who was maxed out at an 83 with the boost. Before the boost, he's at 81. So what happens if we just move his position twice? What happens? I'm curious. Let's move him over to wide receiver, and then we'll move him back over to tight end and see if he transitions into a vertical or a blocking tight end, or if he stays as a vertical threat, or just see what happens here, man. Move him back over to the tight end position, and hopefully he's going to turn into a blocking tight end where he's just going to be a little bit better. So indeed, he has converted to a blocking tight end, and his overall has plummeted, went all the way down to 64. And part of the reason that the overall is changing, even with like the cornerbacks dropping in overall, because you're changing them from a zone corner, man corner, you're changing them to a slot, and that's not their primary archetype, so they're lower in overall at doing that thing. And here, perfect example, he's a blocking tight end, but he's trapped inside like a vertical threat body, if that makes sense, man. Like, he's not good at the blocking game. So he still kept all of his attributes, but the blocking ability now has the chance to shoot up. So he still could become a very good player, and he could become a great blocker now. But guess what? He still has the good hands. He still has the good speed. Now he has the ability to get better at blocking. Even though his overall is so low, if you do this to a guy that's maxed out, it's like you have nothing to lose. He's still going to play like that 81, 83 overall, because the attributes are still there. Now his tendency has changed, so his overall has changed with it, but his overall really did not change, if that makes sense, man. I hope all of that is making sense. So it's a little finesse, man. It's a little finesse for you to, make sure vertical threat tight ends, change them into blocking tight ends. And you can do the same thing with guys that's young in their career. You see Jimmy here. Let's press triangle on Jimmy. He's a vertical threat tight end. The skill caps are not great. Not great. He's going to max out pretty early, because he can get better with the route running. The blocking could also get better, but he's probably going to max out at like maybe an 80, 81, just like the other guy. Well, what happens if we move Jimmy, do the same thing? He's a 73 true overall. What if we do the same thing with him and move his position and then move him back to tight end, and we're pretty much just converting him into a vertical threat, moving the wide receiver, or converting him to a blocking tight end, even though he's supposed to be a vertical threat. So we move Jimmy back over to tight end. And let's just see what happens, man. His overall does drop again, as expected, because now he's a blocking tight end, and he's supposed to be a vertical threat, but his overall has dropped. but his attributes has not changed, and now he has the ability just to get a little bit better with the blocking, or really a lot better with the blocking ability, but we sacrifice the route runner. The thing about these skill caps, they never change. The spots. You know, if you have one skill cap in the first category, don't matter if you're a vertical threat, blocking, or possession tight end, that same skill cap is going to be in that same category every single time. So now we kind of like tanked a little bit of his route running ability because we probably converted him a little bit too early. Like with this, you probably want to wait until they're more developed, because especially with the tight ends, they max out so early. So you can damn near wait until that first year player progression and then do this. And now he'll be able to get a lot better with his blocking ability, but still have the route running and the hands completely maxed out. So just something to keep in mind. You can do this. It is a little finesse, a little finagle, whatever you want to call it, but it's worth knowing. Unfortunately, with quarterback, like the default is going to be scrambler. So when you do the method, it's going to always convert these guys back into scrambling quarterbacks, and that's just not the most productive archetype to have. You know, you'd rather have probably an improviser or field general just because they upgrade a little bit better, a little bit faster. Especially if you were able to convert a scrambling quarterback into a field general, and a field general just upgrade their accuracies first, then that would, you know, kind of be a cheat code. So that ability, to my knowledge, is not in the game, or I just don't know how to do it. But that's all I got for y'all today. If y'all do enjoy the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate y'all for watching, and we on to the next one.